Namaste, I'm Mona Flynn. Thank you for joining me. Today we will practice with a wall. You might have small wall space, wide wall space. I'll give options. We will take on a good standing practice and even a seated practice at the floor with the wall. You will need blocks, a strap, and a blanket. Let us begin. We are starting with mountain pose with a little bit of distance from the wall and with hands reaching back to press fingertips into the wall. So when I press back, my hands are not necessarily needing to give a big push, but they keep me from having a huge back bend. They keep talking the back bend into the upper rib cage, and it so opens the heart, it opens the front body. Feet together unless knees come together first with this variation of mountain pose. Drop the chin toward the chest. Notice the light push into the wall, how it engages the abdominal wall. How all the back body turns on to remind you that your past supports. And the body is willing and open to what comes to present and how we open to what's ahead. That is the intention of our practice, opening our minds and our heart to the potential of what is present and what comes to us. What comes to us comes for us in our favor. The universe opens to you. Let's find all of those potential lessons in our practice. Let us begin. While you change the angle for your arms, go a little bit wider or come a little bit more narrow, change the angle so your shoulders don't get tired. Slide one foot back, and place the heel on the wall, the toes on the floor, and push. And look down. Look down and notice where your knees are and if they are flush. So from the side, I look like this. I want one foot so that it is propped up, heel is on the wall, but my knee is not ahead and it's not so far back. My knees are all on one plane, they are flush. So think about that. And then lift your gaze and look slightly up. Notice how there are more muscles in the back body that are on. Notice how you feel centered, that your head is the plumb line still, and that you're not leaning to the side. And if you notice that you are, use this to come to center. Let's switch the other foot to that front position. That should give you the chance to not have to remeasure. And this time, if you have a chance to go wider, please do, and push. And lift your gaze. Look down. Look up. Notice how your neck has a little bit of work to do because we spend so much time looking down that when we look up, we begin to recognize we need to be stronger here. And then relax. Step back, all the way back with the wall. If what you need to do is walk away from where your screen is and walk to another area of the room, know that you will aim to put your hands, back of the hands, on the wall. And right now, I want to slide my hands up so they are in a V position. And then I want to pull them down so that they are almost in a W position. If your hands don't reach the wall and if it's too much of a chest opening, then you can keep them away from the wall, but put your head on the wall, put your pelvis on the wall, and don't put your feet forward so you lean back. Just walk up to the wall, let it support you. Come to your V, and then down to your W. You might not like it. It might not feel so great. It might feel tedious. But here is where we will strengthen the rotator cuff muscles. From the V, past the goalpost, to the W without hyperextension. It's a wonderful way to strengthen the back of the shoulders. Let's continue. We're going to step forward into our warrior one, and we'll keep one heel with the wall. My heel is touching the wall. this big giant step forward. And my back foot has this neutral turnout. My heel is not high like a high heeled position. It is flat with the floor, but it's rather interesting that this little bit of push with the wall gives some nice strengthening and a little bit of a rebound energy. Take the arms wide, bend the front knee, and come and fold. As you fold, the back heel gets to push the wall a little bit more. And inhale, come unfolding, do it again. Exhale, get there. Nice. Inhale, come unfolding. And this is a wonderful way to just strengthen all of our core muscles from the armpit down to the middle of the thighs. Everything holds on and braces you through it. Let's change it. Hinge just a little bit. And this time, if you will, lift the back heel and put your back heel on the wall. Your toes are on the floor. The heel is on the wall. The front foot is flat. And what you can do now is take the arms wide, fold a little bit more. Notice how the back foot is really in charge. And decide if you can aim to fold deeper and aim toward the toes, and then come back upright so your back is straight. This so strengthens the back in a gentle way. Exhale, fold. Front knee is bent, back leg is straight. Inhale, come unfolding. We'll do this a little differently later, but what gets to happen here every time you unfold is that all of your back muscles cinch up. They share the load. They bring you up, and this is very functional. Come all the way upright now. Take the arms high. Your back heel is high off the floor in your warrior one. Sometimes we lift the back heel off the floor in our warrior one. And isn't it wonderful that we don't have to have such a huge long pose to have a benefit from this? Take the arms wide. We have one more thing to do here. We are going to turn. The front leg tells you which way to turn. If your front leg is the right leg, turn to the right. The upper body provides the twist. You might run into the wall with the back hand. If you do, push into the wall. It's not important how far you go, but that you make it yours. And then inhale and come on back. Step the back foot to the front foot. This way you will be doing exactly the same from the other side. You will be working to balance how you are aiming for mobility and strength. So I have to wiggle a little bit and find my place to the wall safely. And we are starting with the back foot flat. Front knee bent, arms are wide, and the back leg is straight. Here we go. Folding and unfolding. So this might not necessarily be the form of getting into the garden on a bright sunny day and getting some work done, but these are the muscles that we need to strengthen to keep us enjoying all the ways we get out into the world. Now, come into your fold and lift the back heel. All 10 toes point forward. The back heel is on the wall. The toes are on the floor. Come upright. Just notice this place. And this time, aim lower. It's not important if you make it to your toes. That's not the point. But just to aim lower and then to inhale and come upright, and to do that with repetition. Exhale to get there. Inhale to come upright. One more time, please. And it feels good because it's a shared load. It's not overbearing. Now, turn. Again, the front leg tells you which way to turn. The back heel is on the wall. The toes are on the floor. You might run into the wall, in which case you want to push. If it feels too tedious, keep it light, but it will lend itself to a strengthening. Notice any habits. It might be that you're inclined to want to move the hip to the side. Stay with that plumb line. And then inhale and come on back. Step the back foot to the front foot, and that makes for a nice warm-up. We're going to embrace warrior two, and then we're going to get to a side angle pose. And I want us to just notice, if by chance you have a wide wall space, we're going to use the entire breadth of the wall, and I just want to show, because then I'm going to give an option. If you have a wide wall space, then we will start in warrior two. The whole back body is on the wall. You will come into your side angle pose and have the wall behind you. And then you will come into your half moon and you'll have the wall behind you as well. If you have a narrow space at the wall, you still have a great advantage and a different set of advantages. You will start with your feet wide. The back foot is turned in and your outer heel is with the wall. The front foot is turned out. And you will start the same way. Oh, here comes my warrior two. My back heel is with the wall and I can come into my side angle pose. And the stability from pressing the back heel against the wall is amazing. The challenge, and equally a great balance point, is if I wanted to do half moon with a narrow wall behind me, in which case I could put the back foot at the wall and be all on one plane, and both feet have somewhere to push into, and there's a support system. My front foot turns out, stays in that turned out position until I return. So you may already be in those poses. Continue with them. I'm going to repeat so we are giving time to everybody to get there and enjoy this practice. We started with warrior two. We want to build time in each place. Looking over the front hand gives us the opportunity to just pause and allow that sense of anticipation to help us enjoy all of these small challenges, each with support. Come on in if you're not already there. Many options in this practice. Keep the bottom arm and the bottom leg pushing into each other. Decide if you can look up and back. Does the top hand have the chance to go over the head? Do you need to give it a break and keep it behind you? And when you are ready, whether the wall is behind you or for the back foot, there's always the challenge, a little bit of courage is needed to come shift into that half moon. No matter what support or style of half moon you take on, give yourself the challenge of not always looking down. If you need to look down, do, but then look ahead. Bend in that bottom elbow and tip your way into a little bit more. Let the back leg go higher to support you, and then come back up. You're just teasing some tightness out of the body, challenging your sense of balance. And once you've had enough, bend in the standing knee, step back slow and controlled, return to that warrior two, the grounding aspect of it, and then walk the feet in. This beautiful, empowering practice. Standing poses give us that. Let's do the other side. So again, you could use the broad wall space behind you. Everybody knows what to do now. Anticipate building time. This time, I will spend more time with the folks who are going to go with a narrow wall. My back foot is turned pigeon-toed slightly in. Both feet are flat with the floor. My block is ahead and ready. I am walking the tightrope. The back hand can push the wall. And this warrior two keeps me all on one plane for the most part, right? There's no perfection in it. We're not aiming for it. We're just noticing it. The front knee is bent. The back leg is straight. And as we lengthen over the front hand, we can take the block and we can put it on the outside, on the inside. I'm going with the inside and taking the top arm up. You can take it overhead. You can take it behind you. But we use the arm against the leg to help us turn the rib cage and look up. The aspect of a strengthening twist feels big. In fact, you are not turning much, and nonetheless, it makes for a safe twist. When you are ready, here comes that half moon. I want to put the block ahead of my front foot. If you need to look down, do what you need, but as soon as you can, look across the room and ahead Use a focal point and come into your pose and find your place and how you get to tap into your core strength. The back foot over time is going to climb higher. Your upper body over time is going to come lower. Each side a little bit different. This is great hip opening. We want to not lean in. We want to rely on the support of the back body. Then we want to return in the reverse, bending in the standing knee, working our way back, looking across the room, and finding that steady ground, walking the feet in. Great job. That was great. So we will continue this time with a rotation. And again, I'll give an option for if you have a wide space wall or if you have a narrow wall. If you have a wide space, you're going to stand sideways to the wall. And the leg closest to the wall, the inside leg, will be the front leg. The other leg back behind. The legs are straight. As you fold, your outside arm is going to go to the block, and the block will be where your other foot would have been if you were standing feet together. And then you'll simply turn, put your inside hand at the wall and push and rotate and turn, and just recognize that both arms are helping you with that rotation. If you have a narrow space at the wall, or if you have a bed or a couch or a chair that you would rather use, then I want you to work toward it. I will use this chair and pretend like my chair is the wall. So I am starting with a fold. I'm taking one leg back. The other leg is forward. I want to arrive with both legs straight. If my left leg is the front leg, my left hand stays with the wall. The other arm goes toward the floor to the block, and I get to keep rotating. The back heel to the floor is the challenge. You could use the seat of the chair or the bed or whatever you are using for leverage, but I am challenging you to take the bottom hand toward the floor for a deeper fold and twist. Stay one more breath. This was a tall order to stay a little bit longer. And then slowly work your way up. Bend in the front knee. Take the arms ahead, come upright with shoulder retraction, step the feet together, and we'll do all of that on the other side. I will again repeat both variations. If you are with a broad wall, your other side, inside leg is the front leg. The outside leg is the back leg. The legs are straight, the pelvis is square. Come and fold, put your outside hand on the block, put the inside hand on the wall. I have a few inches between me and the wall, more like 8 inches, and then rotating to turn, and just enjoy this twist. Again, if you are using the chair or a narrow wall, then you're going to fold halfway. Take one leg back. It's so much easier to start that way. The other leg forward, and keep separating your feet until you find that distance that gives you a challenge. If the right leg is the front leg, the right hand stays reaching and pushing ahead. The other arm is going to come down and find the block, and you get to turn and rotate and look up and back behind you regardless. Everybody will have the same action within the alignment. Try to stay really long through the torso. Bring the weight to the inner edges of the feet. Keep firming the legs. Notice how both arms are helping. This is a huge outer hip stretch. And then inhale, come upright, bend in the front knee, arms are ahead. All of a sudden we have a warrior one set up, and that tells us we are moving now toward a warrior one practice. Great. Our Warrior One practice is going to be a little bit of a push, and everybody is going to have the opportunity to use a narrow wall. I'm going to turn my back to you just to explain, and then I'll turn forward and hopefully make it better. So now, I have one block, and it's low, and it's going to be right against the wall, and my heel will rest on that block, and it will be the edge just barely hanging off the cusp of the heel. So now, the other block is going to the knee. And when I put my foot on the first block and I lean into the wall, the second block is going to be between the wall and my knee can lean in and press into the block, okay? So be careful as you step well back, as you bend in the front knee, that you hold the block with your knee, and then the hands are shoulder width, and you get to push into the wall and look slightly up. There's a lot going on here. There's a wonderful way to do less in some places, but it is a huge hip opening, and just the lift of the block will help you do more. So if I could exaggerate and say that this chair was my front block, my bottom block, then here I am, and I'm pushing into the wall, shoulder height and shoulder width, using that push to talk to the back leg, and more importantly, to broaden and open the chest and keep lifting the heart. So that is what your body is doing at the wall. When you feel like you've had enough, when you build a good minute or so, then hold the block at your knee and simply step down. If you have a foam block, it's lightweight, it's not going to hurt your toes, and if it were to drop by mistake, this should not hurt anybody's knee. On the contrary, it should really help the entire pose. So let's do the other side. I want to step well back. My front knee is going to secure the block into the wall. My hands are shoulder height and shoulder width. I want to lift my gaze, square the pelvis, and have this really wonderful hip opening, calf stretching variation. The more that the hands push, the more that the calf of the back leg tells you about it. The more that you can take on the back bend in the upper rib cage, but it really needs to be all light action so that you can build time. And it should feel good. It should feel really great. Right? When you feel like you've evened it up, it's time then to come easing out of it. Hold the block at your knee, and then simply step down. So now we're going to repeat using a narrow version of the wall, and we're going to keep those two blocks, one under the foot, and we're going to do triangle pose, and I'm going to try to show you turned sideways, and then I'm going to show you turned forward. My first block is already set up. It's low, and I'm going to turn sideways to the wall and turn my wall foot out and put the heel on the wall, the foot on the block, and not let the block move, and the heel is hanging off the block, and step away. So I have this triangle. I'm walking the tightrope, and the back foot is turned in, and I'm just playing around with, wow, how far can I go comfortably? When folding to the side toward the wall, my tall block is underneath my bottom hand, and I can reach up with the top arm, or I can reach over the head and push the wall. Wow, that's huge. And if you are there with a narrow wall and you're trying it already, stay there, all well and good. And if I wasn't using my words well enough to match what you're seeing, I want to show you from the side, and I want you to pretend that the wall is ahead of me. So I have my heel hanging off the edge of the block, and My legs are straight. I walk my back foot away. The back foot is turned slightly in. I am with a side body fold. My tall block is on the outside and I can reach up. And likewise, I can take the top arm and I can push into the wall. If you have a broad wall behind you, you can be doing this triangle pose with the wall exactly behind and supporting your entire body. Totally up to you. It's nice to have options. Notice that you can turn and look up. The idea of turning the rib cage, we are all working on that strengthening twist. When you're ready to come up, bend in the front knee, walk the back foot until it's underneath you, and then step down. It's much kinder, not jarring. Whatever you did on the other side, let's aim for it again. I gave you the setup from a narrow space at the wall to say that, oh, a low block is not going anywhere. I'm going to place my foot there and step wide and take on this shifting of the pelvis, and then perhaps to use the wall overhead. What you'll find is that you're able to be wider in your feet than what is typical. If what you decided to do instead was to use a broad wall, then you must have your block in such a way that it is not going to slip, meaning you are really counting on your sticky mat. So staying with your feet wide, with some aspect of the wall giving you leverage, with the surprise of the block underneath your front foot getting you more hip opening, and then using that trade-off to turn the rib cage with a little bit more energy, all of that. And slowly come on up. It's rather interesting when we find different ways to support the body, how we can stay longer and what opens to us, yeah? So you should feel the engagement of the back body and a continued opening through the front. Now we are going to use our strap. We're going to do a little bit of dancer's pose as a preparation. We're going to turn sideways to the wall and have an opportunity to continue to open and prepare for some balancing challenges. I have a long strap and I made a small loop, and my loop is not going to be tight on my foot at all. It's nice and loose. As I step into the loop, I want to reach down and catch hold with my elbow straight. So I don't want my hand to slip. It's going to become irritating on the shoulder. As long as I keep the arm nice and long, my elbow is straight and there's a tug. It's so nice for the shoulder to have traction. So I want to show you this first, and then I'll repeat with you a little bit more. We will hold the strap, pick the foot up, and draw the hand behind us, elbow pointing up. The inside hand is going as high up onto the wall as possible. And I want to take the knee behind and then drop it down, and take the knee behind and drop it down, and just come and go with the breath, letting go the wall as an option to balance more on that standing leg. And then we'll come back and add a little bit more. So you are not trying to go to an extreme. It's your turn now. And again, you will step into the band, into the loop. And as you stand sideways to the wall, take your hand and put it on the wall. Give yourself that support. But as you pick up the back foot, begin to turn the arm so that you can lift the elbow. This will remind you of cow face pose. And you will start with knees flush. They are even. The wall arm goes high. You can keep this position and simply let go of the wall. And if you're keeping the hand on, then just notice without making anything extreme as far as the back bend, just using my glutes more. I want to take the knee slightly back and then bring it back. I want to take the knee slightly back and bring it back and then step down. It's a huge quadricep stretch. So let's do the other side. I'm stepping into the loop. My wall hand finds its support. The foot goes behind. I lift the elbow, turn the palm down. Think about cow face pose. And then we could stay here and let the other side just kind of ease in. If you want to let go of the wall very quickly, it becomes a challenge. You can leave one fingertip and give yourself a mini challenge. But taking the knee slightly back and then relaxing and taking the knee slightly back and relaxing, you have this coming and going and just asking for that little bit more, and then simply step down. I let the strap slide between my hands. So now this time we want to fold. So again, we're going to alternate sides. And if you have a wide wall, then you are standing sideways to the wall. I just want to show that as soon as you get there, elbow points up, that your wall hand will go ahead and you're going to come into this little bit of a fold. And while we have the beginning of this dancer's pose, and I want to lift my knee back behind, and I didn't let my hand slip. But if you have a narrow wall, then a different challenge. Your narrow wall needs you to leave a little bit of space between you and the wall, and to come and fold and put your hand there. Yeah? So everybody is into their pose, having a good time, feeling how something new is exciting. And I'm going to pretend like my chair is my wall, just to make sure that I'm not behind in having my back to you. So I could pretend that the chair is my wall, and I had to be a little bit willing to be courageous, to get there and then to come up. Okay, let's do the other leg. This is more than it seems. If you didn't have a wall and you wanted to use the chair or the sofa, the bed, all of that would count. You're starting with elbow straight, traction for the neck and shoulder. We'll lift the elbow, palm, turn the arm. Here we are with our cow face pose. Coming into a little bit of a fold, aiming for this great reach. You can put your hand at the wall, but no matter what, you are going to explore. Oh, but I'm going to pick up that back knee, and I'm just going to play around with how I'm asking for a little back bending. And then slowly come back up. Yeah, very nice. We will continue to use the wall. We're going to fold now. I'm putting my strap down, and we want to fold halfway and have this really quiet way to give a little bit of a push and release the lower back. So if the back of the chair were my wall, I'm going to fold, and I'm going to estimate my distance and simply let my hands find the wall and have this 90-degree bend. Look slightly ahead. Try not to hang back so much. I know we do a little bit. Can you walk your feet back, bend in the knees, and bring your weight over the middle of your feet? While you're here, can one hand stay at the wall in the center? Can you take the other hand and aim toward the opposite ankle and just reach for it? Very nice. And switch. And again, I'm using the back of the chair and pretending like it's my wall. You'll have much more stability if you are using the wall. And then here we are on the other side. I am turning and I'm aiming for the ankle and opening up the shoulder. A lot of good things. Stretching the back body. Once you come back to center, if you will, please push away the wall, come sit, cinch up the muscles that have been stretching, come on up. And it is only good to do that, to stretch a little bit and then to ask for strength work. Very good. So now we're going to make our way to the floor. I want you to make sure that there is a blanket, that you have your blocks nearby, and that you have your strap nearby too. The wall is behind you. We're going to get a little bit of downward facing dog on the wall. Here we go. We're going to put one foot back. My heel is against the wall. My foot is flat. We're here in our warrior one. This big giant step to the front, and I have my front knee bent. Our warrior one is going to bring us toward the floor like we did before. Put your hands down and just notice if you can put both feet, toes on the floor, heel on the wall, measure your plank, and come into your downward facing dog. Wow, that should feel good. We'll try a number of things while we're here just to feel empowered at first. Can you bend in your knees and look ahead and come to this deep squat? So from the side, it would be that great jackrabbit position. My knees are bent, yeah? And then as you return to your downward facing dog, you can come back into plank, but I'm trying to encourage that you take one foot to the wall, all the way up there as high as you can, and put it down and take the other foot way up as high as you can. And then put both feet up on the wall. You'd be surprised, you can. Then step down. You are welcome to repeat that and stay longer, but if it's new, build up to it slowly and then come down. There's no jarring or kicking. There's just a recognition that you are stronger than you think. We are sitting with a twist. So I want to sit with my feet together. And I'm going to use this cabinet and pretend it's my wall in just a little bit. But this is our home base, and we'll turn one leg out. So if this is my wall, my feet are away from the wall. They are not toward the wall. Yeah? My feet are away from the wall. And I want to be at such a distance that I can turn and put my hands at the wall and push and be really elongated in my body. This is a feel-good position. But let's try a little bit of repetition and let's make it even greater. So now, I am 90 degrees from the wall. And I want my twist to be a little bit deeper. And therefore, I'm going to keep the same foundation, but I'm going to turn away. So I turned maybe 45 degrees more. And now I have a really huge twist to manage to get there. Use that as a way to ask for more and then back off if you need. If what you need is to be 90 degrees from the wall that you're going to push, please make it right for you. And as you are experimenting and exploring your way, we'll get the other side to catch up and then we'll come back and add on. Here we go. So what that means is that you're going to simply swivel around and you're going to be 90 degrees to the wall from the other side, and you'll turn and put your hands with the wall and push. If I were too close, my elbows would be bent and my shoulders would be in my ears, so I am this, great distance, and then return. If what you did was to find a greater rotation, here's your opportunity. It needs to stay manageable. One side always gets to it with more ease. One side is maybe a little less willing. And then we want to add a different leverage. So here we go. We're coming back to that first side. And we could start simply that 90 degrees to the wall. Some of you are more adept in your body for back bending and twisting deeply. And I'm just encouraging you that if you find that potential, that you can work as far as being 180 degrees from the wall and turning to put your hands there. I know that's not for everyone, so please keep this your own. That's not the whole point here, okay? So as you find the amount of twist that makes this right for you, I want you to get there and think about how the back foot is as close to you as possible, okay? If you turned to the left, put your right hand at the floor. If you turned to the right, put your left hand at the floor. Keep looking underneath that arm and walking the bottom hand across. Great. While you are there, think that your wall hand is pushing and that the bottom hand, though it arrived to push, is now going to pull. So I want you to pull with it and notice how your spine, your ribcage is more inclined to turn, but you don't have to. You can just apply the action within the alignment and it will be a strengthening of that twist. So the wall hand pushes and the floor hand pulls. Just breathe. Your breath goes into the back of your rib cage. This is a wonderful release. Take the time and come on back. Everybody knows what to do now. We are rotating to the other side. Same idea. We have a foot at the knee, the other foot back behind. How much of a twist do we want to manage? Coming around, and then if you turned to the right, your left hand to the floor. If you turned to the left, put your right hand at the floor. Give your body time. When you do a deep twist, the second side needs a little bit more time. Don't be in a hurry. Enjoy where you are. Recognize this is huge. It's a huge benefit. So now the bottom hand can walk across any amount. Once it gets to its place, there's a push-pull. The wall hand pushes, the floor hand pulls, it tugs against the sticky mat, and you have a beautiful strengthening twist. Take a deep breath. Notice where your breath goes, how the back of the rib cage really begins to expand. Take another deep breath. Recognize that what we did was to keep the lower body fixed and let the upper body turn. We're going now to unwinding, and we're going to allow the upper body to stay fixed and the lower body to turn. I am sideways to the wall. All I need is a narrow space. And I want you to come down, whether you roll down onto your back or roll to your side and come down, doesn't matter. But as you are here, your wall hand is a straight arm and it's pushing the wall. It's going to help you by being a straight arm pushing the wall. And so if you don't have a wall space now, if you have the edge of the sofa, you can just push into the leg of that sofa that's not going to move, or a really heavy chair or the bed. Any of that would be just sufficient enough. Both arms wide. My arms are in a T position. And as the knees come into the chest, we are taking the knees toward the elbow to the outside. Wow. And come back to center. Okay. We're only going to the outside. We're not going to the inside. We're rocking our knees away from the hand that is pushing. And I want to encourage you to a little bit more. So put your feet down, lift the pelvis and shift your pelvis toward the wall. Bring your knees in. It'll feel lopsided, but now take your knees toward the elbow to the outside. Your knees are rolling away from the hand that's pushing. And notice that you can straighten your legs a little bit. Come back to center. That was more. If you know this, if you have it down in your body and you want to straighten your legs and come on, rocking over, you sure can. You are inviting your feet into your hands. Wow, that's a lot. And then slowly come back. It is a tall order, keeping the shoulder blades on the floor doing that. I always like to do 3. I think 3 is a great number, and we get to maintain good alignment. Let's do the other side. So now we can come up and over because the other hand needs to find the wall to push. Here I am. My arm that's pushing the wall is straight. Whatever you're pushing into needs to be heavy and allows you a straight arm, shoulder blades on the floor. Check it out. Come on over and feel this side. Upper body is still, lower body is providing the twist. As you come back, plant your feet, lift the pelvis, shift the hips toward the wall. Bring the knees again to you. Rock the knees toward the elbow. Decide if you can straighten the legs a little bit. A little bit will feel like a lot. And then come on back. Very nice. One more time, please. You can back off. You can do more. This is your practice. Shoulder blades on the floor. And inhale and come on up. And plant your feet. And that's a lot. Great. So roll up and sit. We will do one more that requires a strap and requires a blanket. And then we will have a recovery. So I have a blanket that looks like this, opened this much on purpose. And I'm placing it so that it is near the wall, and it's going to allow me to put my head on the floor and my shoulders and my hips on the blanket. And I want to show from the side just so that you can understand what you're asking your body to do. So I'm going to pretend that the chair is my wall. And I'm giving an opportunity for my neck to have traction. I want to go and put my feet on the wall and have a little bit more leverage for my body's weight. But to give my neck traction, my shoulders are on the blanket and my head drops down, and that is not for everyone. If you have a really tight neck or you have a neck that is sensitive, then you want to keep your head and your shoulders on the same level. So what I am trying to do is put my feet on the wall, and I'm putting the ankle at the knee, and I'm coming down in this figure 4, but I want to be so close to the wall that I don't make it all the way down, that I feel like there's another inch and gravity is helping me to have the challenge of a outer hip stretch, okay? So if I do all of that, starting out close to the wall, I can stay a little bit longer and relax my neck and bide some time for this hip opening. So I rolled up. What will make a difference is what is your distance from the wall? What makes it right for a deep hip stretch? So now come on down. And there's some interesting things that we can do. When you're making it down and you adjust so that your proximity to the wall is the challenge that doesn't let you come all the way down. If your right knee is the closer knee Take your right hand and resist the knee. Resist the thigh, let it help support. That the knee doesn't come towards you, that it stays away. And just come on down, just slow down and just breathe. So the weight of your body and gravity is helping you to create this outer hip stretch. Your hand that is propping up the leg is kind of propping up the body like a kickstand, and it's providing the traction. So if I had a chair, the chair might be too light to really allow me this deepening practice where the entire body weight can just rest on the foot against the wall that's not moving. And then slowly come on up and switch. I have to lift my pelvis as if I'm going into a shoulder stand, and I can park the other ankle at the knee. I know that this is my tighter side, so I'm not going to readjust. I just know that I'm going to get there. I'm going to have a little bit more of a challenge. And just breathe. As your body settles into this place, you might come closer to the floor. That outer hip stretch is going to just deepen. You are staying in charge of you, and you can back off whenever you need. But as your body settles in, I want you to recognize whether you're going to stay and do legs up the wall from this position, or if you're going to readjust. So if you're close enough to the wall and you can undo that crossing of the legs and take your legs up the wall, you might just be close enough that this is your happy place, that you didn't need to undo any of the settling. And the only thing you would add is the loop. I can undo the loop a little bit, put it around my legs, bring it as high as just close to the fold of the hips, cinch it up tight, wrap the tail around the thighs, and when I get close to the knee, I can just tuck the tail of the strap. So I like working with an 8 or 10 foot strap. I think that we have many more opportunities available to us in preparations when we have a longer strap. So if what you needed to do was to change your blanket and fold it and put it under your pelvis or under your head, it needs to support legs up the wall in a way that makes it just a true restorative for you. Your blocks can come in handy if you're just a few inches away from the wall, and you can put them against the wall. If you feel that you started out too far away and you just want this to come in handy for something, then you can put your blocks along the wall and push with your hands and just buy yourself a little bit of length through your neck, keeping the shoulders out of the ears, and just push and hold this position for a few breaths. And then relax. While we continue to settle in, there's one more place I want us to explore. We're going to return to the idea of our beginning. I'm going to take my arms on the floor and find that V. The back of my hands are at the floor and I have this wide V. And I want to bend in the elbows and bring my hands toward the W. And this is a reference point for you. Are you able to rest your elbows on the floor? Can you go back to your V? Are you able to draw the elbows close to you, back to that W? Can you go back to that V? One more time, please, just to go through and in between those two places. Because if your elbows don't rest at the floor, if your hands don't rest at the floor, it's okay. Just to give time for that introduction of range of movement. It creates a little bit of opening. You can keep your goalpost arms, rest your hands at your belly, take the arms beside you. Find what makes it comfortable. And close your eyes. Allow the belly to fall and rise. You are welcome to stay here as long as you wish. Your heart has been pumping up to your feet. If you build Viparita Karani, legs up the wall practice, to an elongated version, it is only good. If your feet get cold or tingly, that is a sign that you need to bring your feet down closer to your heart, and then give your body a chance to get past that, and then take your legs back up the wall to build a time, over time with practice. But likewise, when you're ready to come out of the pose, undo the tail of the strap, bring your feet closer to you, place them on the wall. The rebound energy will just help shift blood volume. And you want to give time to roll to the side and allow everything to come to a little bit more of an even keel, blood volume shift. Likewise, when you're ready to sit up, sit with a little bit of height, take advantage of the wall, and sit with your back body on the wall. It's also very supportive to the nervous system. Bring your hands to your heart, draw the chin to the chest. Feel the residue of your practice, this sense of readiness that is balanced by a sense of release. A feeling of being spacious, a feeling of confidence a willingness. I hope this feeling lasts you well into tomorrow. Thank you for your presence. Namaste.